Greetings, audiophiles and Mass Effect fans. Welcome to my reading of my fanfiction, After the Fall. This is a Mass Effect fanfiction, and as such, most of the characters and the universe belong to BioWare/EA Games. No copyright infringement is intended. However, the scenario and occurrences within this fanfiction are my intellectual property, so if you decide you want to share this with someone, credit me. Please. Part 14. Adrift. Shepard stepped out of the shower, grabbing a towel and rubbing it all over her stubby hair. She missed many things about her long hair, but how long it used to take to dry was not one of them. She turned back to face her mate and began laughing, as she had been doing for most of their shower together. "Please stop that," pleaded Garrus unconvincingly. "This was supposed to be sexy. You assured me that when humans shower together, it's usually sexy. All you did was laugh at me." Shepard tried to get herself under control, but failed almost immediately. The water from the shower kept pooling on Garrus's shoulders in the basin formed by the bony ridge around his neck, then trickling down his front. "Do Turians shower?" she asked, wiping a tear of laughter from her eye as she stepped into her pants. Her legs felt much better, and she once again refused to wear her leg braces. "We don't shower, we bathe. Sometimes we bathe in dust. Our skin needs to stay drier than humans," he said, unable to stop himself from laughing as well, as he bent down to dump the water off of himself. Then he reached for a towel. "Are dust baths sexy?" Shepard asked, tugging on a form-fitting Under Armour shirt. "Not really," Garrus admitted. "You tend to get dust up in places." Shepard winced and grinned at the same time. "Sorry the shower wasn't all you were hoping, my love," she said, walking over and standing on tiptoe to kiss him. He grabbed her around the waist. "You'll just have to make it up to me later," he growled enticingly. "Maybe I will." She bit her lip seductively. Then the comm beeped. Shepard let out a sigh and disentangled herself from Garrus's arms. He smiled wanly at her. She tapped the pickup button. "Yes?" "We are getting a communication from the fleet," said Trainer's voice. "Something important. We also received something from the Alliance while you were sleeping." "Wonderful," Shepard said, heading for the door. "I guess things around here were just getting a little too comfortable." Garrus went with Shepard to the VidCon room. To their surprise, Tali was already there, talking with a Turian over the con. The quarian looked around when Shepard and her mate entered. "Shepard, this is Commander Bastian. He and his men have discovered something potentially important." Shepard stepped forward, dipping her head slightly in a respectful gesture. The Turian on the vid did the same. He looked young, but already battle-hardened. He had a toughness to his face which was painted with red markings. Shepard noticed how his eyes lingered on Tali for a moment before coming to rest on the human before him. "Shepard, it is an honor to meet you." "What can I do for you?" she said, keeping her tone military and succinct. "My people and the quarians have been monitoring the Reaper corpses at a distance for some time now. They all appear to be dead, no movement or power spikes. However, we have been unable to determine an adequate way to destroy them, especially as we are keeping our distance. Because there are so many Reapers spread through our system, we find ourselves having difficulty defending every corpse. As a result, I'm ashamed to admit, a few smugglers, possibly from Omega, have managed to get aboard one of the Reapers. I was instructed to board myself, but I have been communicating with your engineer Tali, who tells me that you may have a safe way to do so, without risk of indoctrination." "There may be," Shepard said, not volunteering any more details. "Thank you for bringing this to my attention. Please send the location of the infiltrated Reaper to my pilot, and the Normandy will investigate." "The flagship? Are you sure that's wise?" asked the Turian skeptically. "Are you willing to disobey an order given by Commander Shepard?" Garrus stepped forward. "Commander Vicarian! Sir! No, sir! Sending the information to you!" he said hurriedly, ending his transmission. Shepard shot Garrus an annoyed look. "I had it under control." "Sorry," he said, tucking his mandibles against his jaw contritely. I have some clout with the Turian military, so I thought I would. Never mind, Shepard said, waving the moment away. She glanced at Tali, who was still standing to one side. I'm sorry, Tali, were you hoping to continue talking to him? Tali's hands flew towards each other, and she began wringing them without realizing it, a sure gesture of quarian nervousness. What? No, I just happened to be... Relax, Tali. Shepard put a hand on the engineer's shoulder. You could do far worse than a Turian, trust me. Tali relaxed slightly, though not much. Come on, let's head down and see if Chakwas has come up with anything on this whole immunity to indoctrination theory, Shepard said, leading her friends out of the room. The medbay was active and bright, nothing like what Shepard had seen the night before with Kirahi. The Solarian commander was up and about, almost ready to head back to Earth and rejoin his people there. Seeing his long and lean Solarian form in the medbay reminded Shepard briefly and painfully of Morden. Would she ever be over the death of her good friend? Probably not, she sighed and forced her thoughts to move on. Shepard! Chakwas greeted them as she turned from her work. Stone was perched on a biobed, munching on a platter of what Shepard could only guess was food. It looked more like worms, and, in all likelihood, that was what it was. Well, at least the Earth could provide for the Rachni well enough, she thought wryly. Any new findings? Tali asked, pulling herself up to sit on a biobed as well. Very promising, said Cadell, who perched cross-legged on his own bed, laptop balanced on his knees. We have asked the crew to volunteer for scans to see who has the defect. It is quite as I expected, considering whom the elusive man selected for your team. Shepard shot Chakwas a concerned look. The doctor gave her a reassuring nod. He's correct. With Stone helping us, we have made leaps and bounds in our work. Most of the crew has already come through for a scan. Tali, will you be willing? Shepard shot the young quarian a glance. Tali seemed a bit uneasy as she peered at the Cerberus scientist from behind her mask. You don't have to, Tali, Shepard reassured her. No, I will, Tali said after a moment. She slid down from the bed and walked across to Chakwas. As the doctor lay Tali down in the scanning bed, Shepard turned to Stone, who had finished his meal and was wiping away any mess with a napkin. While he ate messily, he tied it up in a very civilized fashion. So, give me the rundown, Shepard said. Who's immune? None but you are fully immune, said Stone, scuttling down from the bed in a quick motion that startled Shepard. The Rachni crossed to the computer and made a few selections before bringing up a 3D projection of a human. Few humans in your crew have the defect, Stone said. I was a bit surprised by this, as humans are the most likely to possess it, according to Dr. Cadell's research. Kirahi strode over to join the group, easily looking over Shepard's shoulder. The one you call Joker tops our list, as the least likely to be indoctrinated. Won't he be thrilled? Shepard laughed. Dr. Chakwas also has the defect, though not as pronounced as Joker's, Stone explained, waving a limb to gesture at a readout on the screen. Shepard hesitated. What about Steve? Vega? I'm afraid not, Commander, said Cadell, who had been listening from his position on his bed. Shepard bit her lip. Caden? No, said Chakwas, rejoining the group with Tali. Does he know? Shepard asked. He does. The Normandy's doctor nodded a little sadly. Shepard winced. She knew that fact would hit Caden hard. He wouldn't be able to go with them to the Reaper. She felt glad that Garrus could, but Caden would not take it well. He was always protective of her, even though they were no longer a couple. It was a fact which annoyed her and made her feel loved at the same time. She knew she would have to speak with him about it before too long. Well, Tali? Shepard asked, to change the subject. Chakwas plugged Tali's data into the computer, and a moment later a brain scan appeared. Stone was able to create a program which will quickly locate the defect in the brain of any species, said Chakwas. It has been invaluable. One moment, and... there. Yes, Tali, you have it. Cerberus research indicates it is rare in quarians, said Cadell. Tali didn't seem to know how to feel. Shepard put her hand on her friend's shoulder. You'll be coming with me to the Reaper ship. We'll need an engineer. To be honest, I'm not surprised to find out that you're resistant to indoctrination. The elusive man didn't send you to me directly, but we did run into one another a few too many times for it to be coincidence. Tali nodded, arms folded across her chest, her body language still speaking of unease. "What about the rest of the crew?" Shepard asked. "Grunt, of course. He has the second most immunity after you, Commander. I have the defect as well." Chakwas tapped herself on the temple with a hint of pride in her voice. "A few other members of the crew have it. Sadly, Liara does not, nor do Trainer or Rex. I do not know if Javik does. I'd need a brain scan of him. He has never allowed me to take one." "I'll talk to him," said Shepard. "I'm sure once he has good reason to, he'll let you take one." Shepard hesitated. "Jack, Samara, Morden, and Miranda?" She listed off the names of the dead in a solemn voice. "All indications point to them having the defect." Chakwas nodded sadly. "Jacob and Kasumi as well, wherever they are," she said a bit more brightly, as though trying to lift the mood. "And me," Kirahi said, raising his hand. "You?" Shepard turned, eyebrows raised. "I had your doctor scan me, out of curiosity. It seems that I have your defect as well." "Kirahi, I know you're eager to get back to your people on Earth," Shepard began hurriedly, "but would you consider leaving Rentola in charge and becoming a member of my team, at least temporarily?" Kirahi tilted his head in consideration. "I do have a great respect for you, Commander Shepard. I have often wondered what it would be like to be under your command, or that of any Spectre. I would be honored." He touched his chest and gave her a slight bow. "All right. Do we have any other details on how this immunity works?" Shepard asked. "How long can my people be in a Reaper before they begin to be indoctrinated?" "Well, we have very little practical evidence," Chakwas began. "You do. Cerberus was running tests," Cadell said, spinning his laptop around so everyone could see. "I feel so much safer," muttered Tali darkly. "Cadell did bring out the knowledge of this defect," Chakwas pointed out. "Knowledge they found through torture," Tali said. "We'll be cautious, Tali," said Shepard, who could feel her own hackles raise as she leaned to look at Cadell's laptop. "Shepard, you could stroll around in a Reaper ship forever if it let you. No adverse effects," said the scientist. "Grunt or Joker might manage a few days. The rest of you, 24 hours, maximum. At least, that's what our research suggests." "Anyone up for testing it?" Shepard said, standing back, hands on hips. "We got a report this morning of pirates managing to get aboard a Reaper," Garrus explained, when Shepard's question was met with confused looks. "We have to go chase them off before they cause trouble." "When do we leave?" asked Kirahi, smiling. "As soon as we're ready. Suit up." Shepard could not keep the fierce, wild grin from her face. "Commander," Chakwas spoke up, "I know you're the very best person for this job, but wouldn't it be logical to keep you here? You are, after all, a member of the new council. So are Garrus and Tali, come to that." Shepard gave her a look, with eyebrow raised. "Are you being serious?" Chakwas folded her arms. "I am. You're our leader. We need you." "I think the problem with the last council was that they never got off their butts and did anything. Never got their boots dirty. You know my style of leadership. It's very hands-on." "Really?" smiled Garrus sarcastically. "The people are used to that. They don't want Commander Shepard to suddenly stop kicking ass and taking names. If I suddenly become like those frightened blowhards of the old council, no one would take me seriously anymore." "Very believable," Chakwas said, still holding her ground. "I know the truth. You just want to get back out there because it's your natural habitat. It has nothing to do with leadership." "You found me out," Shepard smirked. "Now can we go, Mum?" "Oh, fine." Chakwas waved her arms dismissively, trying hard to hide a grin which twitched in the corner of her mouth. "Get out of my sight." "Right, going," Shepard said, hurrying to the door. She stopped as the medbay doors whooshed open. "Can I assume that you're going to be scanning and getting scans from as many people as you can from now on?" "Of course. What do you take me for?" Chakwas waved her hands again. "Now shoo! Go save the galaxy from pirates, or whatever it is you're doing today." "I'm not gonna lie, this is creepy as fuck." "Just take us in slow, Joker," Shepard said, her hand on the pilot's shoulder. She had insisted that Joker be the one to pilot the shuttle to the Reaper, leaving the Normandy well away from the seemingly dead behemoth. "If things go south in there, there isn't much I can do with this thing," Joker said, his voice tense as he brought the shuttle around looking for a way inside. "We'll be careful," Shepard said for probably the 5th time in an hour. "There's the pirate ship. It looks like it's clinging to the outside of the Reaper." "Ah, I see it. You dock the bottom of your shuttle against the Reaper. You're going to have to go through the emergency hatch in the floor." He glanced over his shoulder at Shepard and her team. Though Shepard had wanted to bring Grunt, the size of the shuttle limited her team. Instead, she had Tali, Garrus, and Kirahi. She would deal with Caden, whom she had seen giving her a very baleful look as she suited up, when they got back. "Do you see any signs of life from the pirate ship?" asked Tali, coming forward and looking through the forward screen. "Nothing yet," said Joker. "I'll be keeping a close eye on it, trust me." "How long have the pirates been docked here?" asked Kirahi, checking the heat clip on his pistol. "Long enough," Garrus replied, reaching for his helmet. "They won't have changed yet," Shepard reassured her crew. "They will only be starting to show signs of indoctrination." There was a jostle and thud as Joker brought the shuttle into a docked position with the Reaper. "God, this is so creepy," he said again. Shepard saw how tense his shoulders were, and she reached forward and tapped his hat. "Stay safe, Jeff." "You too," he said, shooting her an uneasy look. "Ready, kids?" she asked as Tali opened the bottom hatch of the shuttle. "Always," said Garrus. The group dropped into the darkness of the Reaper ship. The flashlights clipped to their firearms flicked to life as the group looked around. Shepard could sense rather than see her people move to stand in formation with her. "Go slow, keep together," she hissed and began walking. "Remember, we're looking for any sign of the pirates or of a control center." The inside of the Reaper reminded Shepard of the collector ships she'd been on. Rounded ceilings, brown all around them. Shepard felt as though she was walking through a hollowed-out corpse. She wondered what it would smell like, if she hadn't been breathing the filtered air which her helmet provided. She sought out points of cover along the ridged walls, but there was no sign of anyone aboard. "Joker was right. This is creepy as fuck," said Garrus after a while of walking. "You don't get used to it, do you?" Tali piped up, her small voice echoing down the empty corridor. "I wonder if the Reapers are able to control where you go inside them," Shepard mused. "Maybe we will never find a control room. Tali, have you seen anything but these fleshy walls? Any sign of tech?" "No," said the engineer, a little quaver in her voice. "I've been mapping as I go," said Kirahi, stepping forward and showing the group his Omni tool. "We're not going in circles. One would think we would have found something by now. Either way, I think we're drawing near the pirate's ship." "Right," said Shepard. "We'd better at least check that out if we can." The group soon came upon the pirate's docking port. Everything was still and lifeless as it had been. Shepard felt herself grinding her teeth together. "I don't like this. It feels very trap-like to me." "Wait! Here!" The light from Tali's Omni tool flashed orange across the quarian's helmet as she scanned a bulkhead. "Here, where the pirate's ship is docked. I found some tech that isn't covered by the Reaper flesh." The quarian went to work. Shepard and her team fanned out to stand guard. "Be careful, Tali," Shepard breathed as she scanned the darkness with a wary eye. "Just let me try something." Tali's voice was tight with concentration. Shepard caught the flash of orange out of the corner of her eye. "What the hell?" Tali had her own Omni blade drawn, and she hacked the Reaper flesh, covering what appeared to be a control panel. "I got an Omni tool upgrade," the quarian explained sheepishly. Before Shepard could answer, the whole place shook, a tight, shuddering vibration, as though the Reaper had shivered. "What the heck was that?" Joker's voice came over the con. "Not sure. Hang on," Shepard said. "Tali, whatever you did, please don't do it again. You're scaring Joker." "I don't think I'll need to do it again," Tali replied, already getting to work on the control panel she had uncovered. "Good. This Reaper tech is a lot like the Collector's." "Probably the other way around," Garrus pointed out. "True," Tali agreed. "Did you hear that?" Kirahi spoke up. "No," Shepard breathed. "What did you hear?" "Sounded like footsteps." Everyone be ready. Shepard squared her shoulders, balancing on the balls of her feet. Her leg muscles protested stiffly, but they were not nearly as bad as they had been before. Her breath came in quick, almost excited puffs inside her helmet. Tally, keep working on the tech. I want as much information as we can gather. Use your eyes and your memory only. We can't take downloaded data back to the ship. I'm not risking it. Right, the quarian said, fingers working busily. Damn, I heard it this time, said Garrus, swinging his rifle around as though tracking something. Easy, Shepard warned. Then the first shot hit her square in the chest. Her shield ate the blow, sparkling blue before her eyes as she rushed for cover in front of Tally. Keep working, she instructed, knowing Tally had nerves of steel when it came to this sort of thing. Tally had been the one to crawl through the superheated pipes in the collector base. She'd opened and closed doors that would have confused and stalled lesser engineers. Garrus and Kirrahe found cover, and soon a clumsy firefight in the semi-dark was well underway. In the flashes of light from gun barrels, Shepard could make out at least one Batarian and an Asari, and a few humans. "Hold your fire! We're friendlies!" Shepard tried. Her offer of peace was met with 2 well-aimed blasts, which her shield barely deflected. "They seem real friendly," Garrus called, almost sounding chipper as he took aim. "Try to wound, not kill," Shepard instructed. "I want some answers." Kirrahe managed to clip one of their opponents before he had managed to get to cover. "Not an easy task, Commander," he said, "as they seem to be very determined to kill us." Shepard sighted through her scope, squinting as she took aim in the flashes of weapons fire. "Kirrahe, I need light down there." "Right." The Solarian put his back to his cover and slid into a sitting position. He took 2 flashbang grenades from his belt and began tinkering with them. "Be ready in a moment." "Take your time," Garrus chuckled, laying down a spray of inaccurate suppressive fire over their targets. Shepard took her shot, missed, and cursed under her breath. It seemed that there were a few more pirates now than there had been, and the greater numbers would mean Shepard and her team would be overwhelmed. "Kirrahe!" she barked. "Got them!" The Solarian pitched both grenades, one after the other, towards the foe. There was still a flash and a bang, but not so blinding as they normally would be, still disorienting for the pirates. Shepard took her chance, and several clean shots, before she and her team were peppered again. She heard Kirrahe grunt. "Major? Tally, get over there." "No need," said Kirrahe. "It's just a graze." "Commander?" Tally asked, poised between getting back to work and helping the Solarian. "All right, keep working," Shepard said, taking another shot and getting the Batarian in the leg. He went down with a yelp. The light was fading fast. "We need to finish this," Shepard shouted. Garrus took a few more shots, both landing clean hits. "Right," he growled. The group seemed to come together then. Shepard felt a sudden connection, as she sometimes did in battle. Kirrahe was a new element, but she was used to working with Tally and Garrus, so much so that it almost felt like she could read their minds, and they hers. Tally stopped her work and picked up her shotgun without being prompted. The group began to press their attackers, who were one by one falling wounded, though some of them were killed. Shepard waited to hear Garrus's shot, then scuttled forward, keeping low to the next piece of cover. Then she fired, allowing Kirrahe to move up. The maneuver was flawless, and it reminded Shepard why she loved this sort of thing so much. She was damn good at it. When they had finally reached the pirates, all of them were wounded or dead. Shepard swept her weapons light down the dark corridor in case more enemies had fallen back and were waiting in ambush, but there didn't seem to be anyone. She gestured with her head for Tally to keep an eye on the corridor. The quarian moved into position. "Gather the wounded," Shepard instructed Garrus. "Anyone still awake gets to chat with me. Come here, Kirrahe." The Solarian strode over. "Commander?" "You were wounded before. Show me." "Yes, ma'am," he said, kneeling before her and indicating a shallow injury in his side. His green blood had already stopped flowing. Shepard applied some metagel to the wound and it knit itself nicely. "There, now go help Garrus," Shepard instructed. Soon the group had gathered all the remaining pirates. Shepard squatted in front of the Batarian she'd shot in the leg. He stared at her blankly, all 4 eyes dull. She squinted at him. Raising her hand, she snapped her fingers beside his head. He didn't blink. "Can you hear me?" she asked. He stared through her, eyes hollow. He blinked lazily and unevenly. "This doesn't look good," Shepard breathed. "Help!" a voice whimpered. Shepard turned. One of the Asari, equally dead-eyed and staring, was making weak sounds, almost like a child. Shepard moved to squat before the pirate, moving her head close, though her helmet would pick up the sound even if she was further away. "My name is Commander Shepard. You need help? What happened here?"
"Dark. It's dark and cold," whispered the Asari.
"Dark and cold," breathed another of the wounded like an extremely creepy parrot. Shepard felt a shudder go through her.
We wait. We wait for the Master. Why doesn't he come?"
the Asari asked in a small voice, so sad and pleading. "What are they talking about?" asked Garrus, obviously on edge. "I don't know," Shepard breathed, feeling decidedly uneasy herself. "We have to get these people out of here. The Alliance will take care of them. Maybe we can figure out what's going on with them." "Indoctrination?" asked Tali, still keeping her eyes locked on the passageway. "Maybe." Shepard turned to look into another pair of black, unseeing eyes. "Not like any I've seen. This must have happened to them very quickly. I know you can become indoctrinated quickly, especially within the Reaper itself, but this doesn't smell right," Garrus finished for her. Kirahi stepped forward and slung the wounded Batarian's arm over his narrow shoulders. The pirate gave no protest, nor any effort to help himself be lifted. "Well, I suppose we better get moving. This is going to take several trips." "Right," Shepard agreed. "Kirahi, you and Garrus start taking the wounded to the shuttle. Tali and I will stay here and keep an eye on the rest of them." As the work began, Shepard questioned Tali about what she had found in her work on the control panel. "Very little," the quarian admitted. "It really did seem dead. I even tried giving it a little juice from my Omni tool. Nothing." "Well, the Reaper may be dead, but something did this to these people," Shepard muttered. "Were you able to bring up a map to the control center?" "No, nothing like that," Tali said, absent-mindedly checking her heat clip. She ejected it with a click and popped in a new one. "At best, I would say that I found some sort of Reaper life signs meter. It showed the creature with a heart of sorts and a brain, the parts of the Reaper that no person would go inside, but it all looked dead."
"Dark and cold,"
whimpered the Asari, who had not been taken to the shuttle yet. Shepard squinted down at her.
"We wanted to wait, but it's so empty."
"These people can start making sense any time now," Shepard sighed. "Commander, we need to talk." Joker's voice came over the con, clipped and annoyed. "Ah, Garrus and Kirahi have reached you?" Shepard asked. "Yes, what have I told you about collecting strays? Creepy strays." "Don't worry, Joker, we aren't keeping these." "Not okay, Shepard," said Joker. "I know it won't stop you, but just let me go down in the record as saying, not okay."